Alright, YouTube, just so you don't get the good and not the bad, it ain't all gravy. Not only is Team Grasshopper not finding any gold, my motor just blew up. Oil everywhere. Now, hopefully all you environmentalists out there watching this, so you can come try and hassle me. As far as I'm concerned, I'm sorry, but there was nothing I could do about it. I'll clean it up. So now I have the issue of a blown motor to deal with. Get a new one, get it fixed, do something, or give up, quit the season.
So we had 3 good days. I got an extra motor. We could actually bring it out here. Maybe I will. It's up to him. We'll see what we're going to do. I'll go back on my dredge until we figure this thing out. We weren't doing that great on gold anyway, so we're prospecting mode.
Now we're in repair mode.
Repair mode.
So there you have it. We'll pick it up when we figure out what comes next. Hey there, YouTube. Chris for the Handyguard channel. Today I have to do a little repair before I can do any more mining. So I'm going to show you my approach to an unorthodox problem here. It happens frequently, and it involves the pressure log, which has high pressure water input that goes through a pipe until it enters the jet. It is the jet, and it enters this tube. They call it the log sometimes. The whole thing sometimes called a jet log. As you can see, it's got a massive hole blown through it. And you can even see some daylight because there's an almost equivalent hole on the other side. I don't know if you can see it or not from this angle, but so I've got 2 holes, one on each side, to do something with, because I'm losing a huge amount of pressure, and the water just eats its way through the metal over time. So it's blown through, and I finally realized what was going on. I knew my suction seemed to be a little lacking. Didn't seem to be as strong as it usually was, and I was running the motors harder trying to compensate. So I'm going to try and slap a patch on there. This is something I'm modifying from Lowe's supply, Home Depot type supply materials. This is a little kit. It comes kind of like this when you first buy it, with a rubber inner lining and an outer metal with 2 hose clamps that are fixed, pop riveted onto it so they don't slide off. But they didn't have a 6-inch size, and that is a 6-inch pipe. So I bought 2 4-inch mending kits. It's actually like a hose splice or a joiner. And I'm gonna run the hose clamp from one into the receiving threaded part of the hose clamp on the other, and join them both together and create one big hose clamp monstrosity. Might be a little too large. I may have overestimated, and maybe I should have got 2 3-inchers. But as long as these pieces can slide past each other as I close it down, it should be okay. It should make just about the right diameter to mend the 6-inch pipe once it's all put together. And then I'll take the rubber that I had to split just to get it around the pipe. It used to be a continuous loop, but I split it and cut off the rib in the middle here so it would lay flatter. And I'll lay that flat on the pipe on both sides, and I may tape it inside this once it's done so it won't fall all over the place while I'm trying to manipulate it in the water, as I've got 2 pieces of rubber here. And try and seal it up enough to get me through the final 11 days, 10 after today, of the mining season. So I'll show you a little bit of it along the way as I try to figure this out. Snag number 1. I overestimated the size. Actually, initially I was thinking of putting one of these 4-inch splices kind of on each side, and it was only later after I bought them that I came up with the idea of joining them together. Yeah, I've already run through all of the adjustment on those 2 hose clamps, and there's only so much adjustment. You know, by the time I get to about there, that's a small as I'm going to be able to make this thing, and that's too big. It's way too big. It's not going to clamp down tightly. So the hose clamps that are on here are useless in that configuration. So I'm going to try the only other option that I have, which is I do have some 7-inch hose clamps, which is the right size. The diameter of this thing needs to be about that big. So I'm going to try and get these hose clamps that are pop riveted on here several times each. See if I can remove them without destroying this metal so I can reuse it, and then just kind of try and hold all this loose stuff together in the water while it's rushing by until I can get it clamped on. It's the only other thing I can do right now, so we'll see if I can manage. I was able to get the hose clamps off this little thin metal without totally mutilating it. So now I've got these 2 loose pieces to try and get around there with a hose clamp holding the whole business and some rubber on the very inside. So I'm just going to position a couple of hose clamps on the pipe and try to get all these loose pieces underneath it, sandwiched on the pipe, held in place while I try and get it tightened. And yes, that water is cold. I won't be able to hold the camera in place while I'm doing all this. I'm going to need about 3 extra hands as it is. So if it's successful, I will show you the end result. Well, there it is in all its resplendent glory. My make-do patch. You're in a jam, you got to do what you got to do. So I've managed to cover the holes as best I can. I may still get some water blowing out of there because it's under a lot of pressure. But that's as good as I'm going to be able to do today. It only has to hold me for 10 days, get through the season. So hopefully that will do it. I'm going to get fired up, do a little pressure test. And if I don't have any leaks, I can start dredging. So there you have it. The jet log in the field, cobbled together, jet hose repair.